The following program is made possible by the friends and partners of GodQuest Ministries.
Can a biblical creationist make sense of astronomy? From the CTN studio in Pensacola, Florida, this is the Creation Today Show. I'm one of your hosts, Eric Hovind, and I'm joined by Paul Taylor.
And we're very excited on today's show. We've got with us a special guest, David Rives, of David Rives Ministries.
A unique name.
It is, and he's an expert on creation, talks on the subject of creation, particularly expert on the subject of astronomy. We're looking forward to talking to him about that subject.
There are so many questions, Paul, that people have about astronomy and the Bible. We're going to get to answer those.
We are indeed.
Remember, we believe the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate in every single detail. So, enjoy the show. So many questions about astronomy and the Bible. We thought we'd take today's show to teach you a little bit of truth about astronomy. But before we do, a couple of announcements. Right now, we are in the middle of a campaign called God Created Earth Day. We had a little t-shirt contest recently, and the winner is actually, they got their shirt, their design printed on a t-shirt, and we're making those t-shirts available at creationstore.org. You can go there, get the shirt, wear it proudly, and actually win more prizes for registering your group.
Excellent.
Is that enough on Earth Day? Do you think they got the point?
I think that's great.
All
yes,
right, Earth Day, GodCreatedEarthDay.com.
The latest fashions from Creation.
That's right.
And coming up in July 2013, there's a very important conference, a large conference organized by Answers in Genesis. So large, they're calling it the Mega Conference.
It's mega.
The Mega Conference 2030. There's some very, very important speakers there.
Boy.
Lots of Answers in Genesis speakers. There'll be people like Ken Ham, Andrew Snelling.
Todd Friel from Wretched Radio is going to be there.
That's right. And
Freakishly tall Todd.
That's right.
That's what they call him.
Freakishly tall, with his tens and tens of listeners.
Yes.
And our very own Mr. Eric Hovind will be there as well.
Yeah, and I'm going to have my family there, so you guys should register for that conference. Come hang out with myself and my family for the week. 22nd to the 25th of July. It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be great. That you're going to learn everything that you ever wanted to know about the subject of creation and lots more.
And lots more, believe me. Lots more. Boy, they're going to go through a lot of stuff.
They keep you very busy at those conferences.
Well, today's special guest is from the Nashville, Tennessee area. David Rives and I have known each other for many years, and he drove down to be on the show. David, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So you have been studying astronomy.
I have.
We thought about, before the show, we thought about doing the show on astrology. Would that throw you off a little bit?
Yeah, that would be a shorter show because I don't have much to say on astrology.
But what actually is the difference between astronomy and astrology?
Well, you know, a lot of people do get those confused because they sound a little bit similar. But astronomy is the scientific study of space, of the stars, of what we see in the heavens. Astrology is actually the idea that the celestial bodies, the planets, the stars, have an influence on human destiny. And that practice is condemned in the Bible. We don't want to have anything to do with astrology, but
So
I talk a lot about astronomy.
I should stop going to my palm reader? Or is that...
Yeah, I would suggest that.
Okay, but I mean, when you see the things in the newspaper and the people say, what month were you born? Oh, you're such and such. I was born in June, you know, some president's June 5th, but I got no clue what that means or what I would be according to that. But
I don't even.
They actually say that means something about you and your personality and your future.
They'll tell you that means something about your personality, that you can track the motions of the planets, and when everything's just aligned right, things will go great for you and all of this. I believe that God's in control of everything,
Amen to that,
and that it has no emphasis on the stars and the planets' alignment.
But when I'm at a Chinese restaurant, I love looking at the little calendar there. And never mind.
Dear. We'll pray for you.
All right, thank you, Paul.
But even when we come to the subject of astronomy, David, you know, that Christians, many Christians are even worried about that because, you know, isn't astronomy all about billions of years? The stars were there billions and billions of years ago, and the Big Bang Theory has explained everything. How can we fit that into the Bible?
Well, it's pretty easy to fit into the Bible because astronomy is the scientific study of the heavens. And you can use the Bible to study what it says about creation, it says that in 6 days God created the heavens and the earth. And if you look at the science behind astronomy, good science, it backs up what the Bible says, that in 6 days God created everything. Now, today we have a lot of atheistic scientists who are telling us you can't believe the Bible, that everything is the result of an explosion 14 billion years ago. And I believe that's bad science. It doesn't line up with the Bible, and it has a lot of problems that those scientists don't want to tell you. So yes, you can study astronomy, no problem at all, as long as you stick to the facts of astronomy, the scientific, empirical data that can be seen and demonstrated.
Now, is he saying that you can study astronomy and not come away with the idea of billions of years for the age of the earth? Is that
Absolutely.
what you're saying? So you believe in a literal interpretation of the Bible. You study astronomy, you got your own telescopes and everything. We'll get into that. And you don't believe in the billions of years of evolution.
That's right. I believe that in 6 literal days, God created everything. That on day 4, He created the stars. That's what the Bible says. And the information that we're being told, that a lot of universities are teaching us about astronomy, is nothing but bad science. If you look at NASA, the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, they have a lot of questions about the Big Bang Theory. And they have no answers for it. They say that the Big Bang Theory is full of questions that will probably never be answered, consequentially leaving a number of tough, unanswered questions. So they're telling us there's problems here we don't have answers for, and we can't explain by billions and billions of years. But we have the answers for them. They're written in a book called the Bible.
And of course, it's not a monolithic structure, this is it. I mean, we do know that there are a significant number of non-Christian astrophysicists who don't actually accept the Big Bang. Doesn't mean they would agree with us. They often have very other views, but it's not the only game on the pitch, is it?
It is not. And over the years, there have been many, many different theories about the origin of the Earth, the origin of the universe. And over time, the scientists change their mind. They say, oh, well, let's go to this theory and let's check this out. But I'm here to tell you today, the Big Bang Theory is full of problems.
It is. I was a public school teacher in Britain until 1999, and the textbooks at that time said the universe was 12.3 billion years old. The textbooks now say it's 13.7 billion years old, which means in the last 14 years, the universe has got 1.4 billion years older. Which
I'm feeling that up, doesn't he? I'm feeling that. Okay, you love looking up at the heavens. You love looking up at the stars. What has this done in your life? I mean, you're a young man that's looking out and seeing these things. Tell me what it's done.
It's opened up a lot of doors. It's opened up a lot of opportunities, and it's made me think about things in a different way. You know, about 6 years ago, I got a big telescope. We'll show you some pictures that I've taken with the telescope here in a few minutes. But the first time I looked through it, I was amazed at what you can see. The galaxies, the nebula, all the different colors, all the different stars out there for us to see. Most people never get a chance to see these things. And the heavens declare the glory of God. That's what Psalm 19:1 tells us. I believe that, and one look through the telescopes that I use, that I employ, that I can look through every night, just one little glimpse will tell you there's something special out there. The heavens declare the glory of God.
Wow. I think it was it Albert Einstein that said any serious student of science will look out there and will realize, will recognize there's somebody out, there's something going on. There's somebody in control of all of this. I didn't get that quote exactly right. Look it up, Einstein.
It's certainly true, isn't it, that many of the early pioneers of astronomy were in fact biblical Christians.
They were.
Yeah.
Kepler, Galileo, Sir Isaac Newton, all of the legendary scientists believed in a creator. They couldn't see how any of this could have been formed by chance over billions of years. And in fact, a lot of them talked against the idea of things being formed by chance, and they said there has to be a creator for everything we see.
Well, I got one that's going to stump him, Paul. Oh, yeah? How can we see starlight that's millions of light years away, Mr. David? Right after the break, we're going to ask Mr. David that question. How do we see starlight that is millions of light years away if the Earth is only 6,000 years old? We'll be right back.
Nearly 2/3 of students who attend church will walk away after they turn 18. What's happening? Do you know the answers that people need? Answers in Genesis will show you how to make a difference in today's culture. Already Gone by Ken Ham and Britt Beamer shows how to fight back for our families, church, and world.
Can Christians believe the Bible from the very first word? This new study, The 6 Days of Genesis by creation speaker Paul Taylor, will help Christians understand exactly what happened during the creation week and why it is foundationally important to believe it. You will enjoy every minute of Paul's unique presentation style, combining scientific facts, solid biblical teaching, and a little British humor. For more information, visit us at www.creationtoday.org.
Welcome back. You're watching the Creation Today show with me, Paul Taylor, and with Eric Hoven, and our special guest, David Rives. We're really glad that you're here in the studio to answer very difficult questions, David.
Yes. We're going to stump him on this one, Paul. I just know it. I can feel it.
That's good. It's one of the questions that we often get asked, isn't it, is about, stars are millions and millions of light years away, so the light from those stars has come millions of years across the universe. How can we fit that with the Earth only being 6,000 years old? Aren't we just silly creationists to accept that idea?
I dare say this is probably, if I was on the evolution side and arguing against creationists, this would be the one thing that I harp on all the time. So as Mr. Studying astronomy over there, what do we got?
This is probably one of the questions that I get the most in my seminars and presentations. And really, there are several different ways to look at it. Most of what we have are theories, just like most of the evolutionists' ideas are theories. But one of the theories that makes the most sense to me is the theory of gravitational time dilation. And what we found is that atomic clocks in different elevations run at slightly different rates. And we believe that that's caused by the gravity, the different effects of gravity. Well, if you look out in the universe, we're talking about massive differences in gravity. If gravity affects time, then that means that it may not take millions and millions of years for the starlight to get to Earth. Now, if it doesn't take millions of years, this was using Einstein's theory of relativity as well as several other concepts, and the theory of gravitational time dilation as an idea how the starlight could get to us in much, much shorter times than what the evolutionists would tell us. It makes a whole lot of sense, and it explains quickly and easily how we see what we see in 6,000 years.
I'm trying to picture this in my mind. So you're saying time runs differently with less gravity. It literally affects time.
That's exactly right.
It's going to be hard for some of you guys to wrap your brains around. Okay, I'm going to try to wrap mine around that.
Well, this is, it's a scientific principle that has been observed in our limited regions that we can measure things.
Right.
But the concept, when you get vastly different gravity farther out in the universe that you go, vastly different rates of time, moving faster and slower, it explains it perfectly.
Very interesting.
It works. It fits. And it makes
It
a lot
does.
of sense. Another question that we get all the time on a related subject really is people will say, well, we've looked through telescopes and things and you can see stars forming out there. So what do you have to say to that then?
Well, a lot of people tell us that, you can see that stars form regularly. And they'll even point to different nebula, and they'll say, oh, we've seen stars form in these nebula. Well, you may have seen the gas clouds move apart and reveal another star, but that star was always there.
Yes.
If you read the Bible, it tells us that the stars were formed in the beginning on day 4. We do not see stars forming. We've never seen a star form. Now, in our relationship of time, in our finite little world here, they would tell us that the stars take millions of years to completely form, and that's something that we could never even see if we tried. This is something that would take millions of years to actually be able to document. So you're never going to see that happening. We haven't seen it even begin to happen. Now, I've have pretty large telescopes. Can we see a picture of one of the telescopes that I use right now?
Yeah, this is amazing.
Let's pull this up.
You definitely got some. Man, that thing is a very large telescope.
That is
got that at Walmart, did you?
That's a $5 Walmart telescope. But the guide scope on top costs a little bit more. No, that is a professional 16-inch Meade GPS telescope. It has advanced optics in it, more advanced than what normally comes in it. I transport this telescope to different places, and in one of my transportation attempts, a mirror fragment broke, and
you mean it's hard to see the stars when your mirror is broken?
Yeah,
okay,
but I was able to upgrade the optics to Ritchie-Crichton optics, which is what the Hubble Space Telescope uses, which is currently orbiting the Earth right now.
Do you have more pictures of this on your website, by the way?
I do. You can go to davidrives.com, davidrives.com, and see all kinds of pictures that I've taken with my telescope. This thing is a monster, and it's fully automated, fully GPS. It sets itself up. It finds over 100,000 different objects with the push of a button. And I've also got a special imaging system that it's connected to where I can take pictures of what I see. It's not like just I get to see what's there. I get to share it with everybody.
All right, let's check it out.
Post these things on the internet.
That's what I want to see.
And all of this. Well, one of the recent things that I was able to do is to put a special solar filter on the front and take images of the transit of Venus across the face of the sun. Let's take a look at the first picture right now.
All right.
And if you take a look and you see in the upper right-hand corner a tiny black speck beginning to appear across the face of the sun, that is the planet Venus as it goes across the face of the sun. Now this happened on June 5th, 2012. It was a very limited event, so I had to take pictures as fast as I could and get these images while they were available. This will not happen again in our lifetimes.
Whoa.
Not for another about 104 years, I believe.
Well, I might be around. I'm eating healthy.
Good luck on that. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
But this is a very, very limited event that I was able to get photographs of. And if you take a look at this next picture here, you can see as the sun was going down, it was almost below the horizon, and I was able to take a photo of the planet Venus farther down on the sun. Now,
that's really
this
cool.
is just one of the things. This is just in our solar system. But I'm also able to see things that most people can only dream of seeing. Now let's take a look at the next photo. And what you see on the screen here is the Rosette Nebula. And this is extremely far away. It's a nebula, which in Latin means a cloud. So it's a cloud of dust and gases. And these beautiful colors that you see are really all there. And I'm able to share this with people with my special imaging systems on the telescopes.
So you took that picture right there?
I took that picture.
Dude.
If you take a look, that's a lot of stars. A lot of stars.
That's a lot of stars.
Now the next photo is an image of the Great Orion Nebula. And to me, that's one of my favorite because it's so colorful. You can see the blues, the purples, the reds. And right in the center, the most lit portion of it, you can see the trapezium, which is 4 stars shaped in a trapezium type shape. And those stars are extremely bright, and they're lighting up the nebula, that part of the nebula, so we can see the colors and the dust cloud as well as we can. Now these things are incredibly far away.
Wow.
We're talking about things that would take us hundreds of thousands of years to reach, traveling at the speed of our fastest spacecraft.
Oh my goodness.
Yet we're able to see these things. Now, for several thousand years, a lot of these things could not have been seen. And only through the invention of telescopes and the optics that can see that far out and see with that detail are we able to actually witness God's incredible design in the universe. We look around the earth today and we see all sorts of representations of God's glory, but when we look up in the sky, we see so much more.
Wow. Well, all right, I got more questions for you because I'm going, all right, scientists say that all these stars just evolved over billions of years. Is that possible? But we got to take a break, so let's come back and let's talk about a few more of those things, and then I just want to know where we can get more information on this stuff as well.
Great.
So we'll take a quick break and be right back.
You're watching Creation Today. And now back to the show.
We've got a biblical creationist that studies astronomy in the studio today, talking to us about the truth of starlight and time. By the way, is there a place where they can get more information on this gravitational GTD, gravitational time dilation, GDT?
That's easy for you to say.
You can. I've got some resources on my website, davidrives.com.
Perfect.
And they can go check all of that out.
Awesome.
A lot of articles as well, so you can see a lot of information on there.
Excellent. Now, you've written several books. You've got your DVD documentaries that you've done, really explaining all the science. You like dealing with facts, don't you?
I do. I really like to take a look at the facts and see what they're showing us and put theory out of the way. I mean, theory is necessary for some parts of science to try to understand how things are working. But let's take a look at the facts and see what they seem to be telling us. And that's what I do in all of my documentaries and books.
All right, so you got some great pictures that you've taken. How long does it take to make those stars, do you think, Paul, in the star factory?
I would think they're quite fast.
You think they're pretty quick?
I would say so. You must get one a year, maybe.
Well, yeah, one a year? That would be pretty big. They literally teach that these gas clouds condense into stars.
That's right.
Which goes against Boyle's law, but hey, who cares? They're scientists making up their own theories. We can make up whatever we want, as long as evolution is true. We did a little, before the show, David and I sat down and did a couple calculations to see how fast stars would have to form.
Wow.
Yeah. David, do you remember how many stars they say formed in the last, 13.4 billion years?
Too many numbers.
Too many numbers.
But you're going to run it down for us.
Check
really
this
quickly.
out. When you look it up, they'll say that they have that all 76 sextillion stars that we know about, and there might be some that we don't know about, formed in 13.4 billion years. Okay? At that rate, you take 76 sextillion divided by 13.4 billion years. That means that you have 5,232,880,597,015 stars forming every single year.
How many was that?
Not going to repeat it. Rewind the video. That means you divide that by 365. 14,312,000,000 stars forming every single day. That is...
But less on a leap year.
That's not on a leap year. You're right. It's messing me up there. That is, let's see, 596,333,000 stars forming an hour, or 9,938,000 stars forming in a minute, or 165,648 stars forming every single second for 13.4 billion years straight.
That's a lot.
So,
a whole lot.
You got a telescope. You got to see these things forming, right? Is that what happens?
Last second I looked through my telescope, I did not see 100,000 stars forming. I didn't even see one.
Nothing. You got nothing out of all that.
No.
Oh, man, I was disappointed here. I thought we were going to give a shot to evolution and say, hey, there's a chance. There's no chance.
Well, you know, people try to tell us that evolution is science.
Right.
But the only way I can see that evolution is a science is science fiction. There's too many problems with
point.
evolutionary theory, and especially with the Big Bang. You know, a lot of people want to look at the age of the Earth, and they don't want to talk too much about the age of the universe, but there are way too many problems with the Big Bang theory to have we couldn't see what we see today if it evolved by chance 14 billion years ago. It just doesn't work.
So come to find out, the thing that they like to use the most, the stars, to try to disprove creation is actually something that works totally against them.
That's
Wow,
right.
that's fascinating.
And I'd like to show just a glimpse of how glorious the heavens really are.
Please
if we can
do
that.
share.
Yes.
All right, let's go to the picture right here. And what I want y'all to do is I have brought you both a miniature telescope.
Yes, you did.
Now you may say this looks a little bit like a coffee stirrer, but it's not a coffee stirrer.
It's
This
not a
is a miniature telescope.
Paul, not a coffee.
And we're going to
Expensive.
use this right now.
All right.
Now, if you are at home and you want to grab a coffee stirrer out of your kitchen, go grab it right now. And what I want you to do is I've got a star field on the screen.
Okay, we'll make it full screen. Jeff, make this full screen. All right.
Hold the miniature telescope out at about arm's length here and look at the tiny speck that you can see through that miniature telescope. Now try to find a star And then what I want you to do is try to point it in between two stars, where all you see is just a little black space.
Yep, that's definitely all I see.
Got that.
Okay, well, what we're going to do is the Hubble Space Telescope, in that tiny, tiny area that you see through your miniature telescope, it took a picture of that in a dark area of the sky just to see what it could see. Are we ready to see what the Hubble Space Telescope saw?
It saw a star.
You think it saw a star? What do you think?
Probably a few stars.
A few
Let's
stars.
say maybe a dozen.
Well, of course, because the Hubble is very powerful.
Yes, it's very powerful.
And what it did was it took an 11-day exposure, an 11-day picture, and that can accumulate a lot of light and pick out little stars, small stars.
2 dozen stars.
Maybe 2 dozen stars.
Yeah.
So, through this tiny area, this is what they saw. 10,000 galaxies. Not stars, galaxies. Each one of these galaxies contains several hundred billion stars. Truly, the heavens declare the glory of God.
Wow.
You'll never look at a coffee stirrer the same way again, will you?
No kidding. Whoa.
You know, the scriptures tell us about great things past finding out and wonders without number. When you look at things like this, you see just how incredible God's glory is and how amazing the universe is.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful tool.
Man, this has been fun.
Coincidentally, Wonders Without Number is the title of David's book.
His new book, by the way, I got the very first copy off the press, and I got it autographed to me, which worked out nicely. David, I'm so glad you got to come down and hang out with us on the show today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much.
You've got he's got resources, of course, they're available at davidrives.com. We've also got his DVDs available at thecreationstore.org. You can check that out. And I'm just so glad you're out there contending for the faith. That's absolutely wonderful.
If you've got questions for us, you can email to us at questions@creationtoday.org.
Yep, and we always got more shows coming and more guests, so stay tuned at creationtoday.org. God bless.
Do you need the tools to defend your faith? Visit our websites for up-to-date content. Attend one of our live events. And shop online at creationstore.org. We are Creation Today.